Well, hello, and we have a special webisode today. Well, all of them are special in one way, but this one has patterned vellum, and that's hard to find these days, and Teresa has had a marvelous time, so please come play with us. Well, before we get into the beautiful projects, let me just recap a little bit. So we have one set of vellum that has 8 sheets. They are all 8.5 by 11. With this pack, you also get some cutouts. So that is part of that collection. So that's fun. And I'll be showing you every single sheet that Teresa uses. And this also has some words in it. So that's fun. Now there is a second set, and it is called More Patterned. Do you love the names? And it has 4 sheets, and I have a product video. When you go to the product pages of any of these, you will see every single sheet that's used. Also, there are these dazzles. Now, these dazzles are in a silver pearl finish, and just to make it easier to see them, I put them on the black cardstock. So there's 32 pieces here, and we call this Lovely because Lovely is the name on it. And as you can see, there's just a lot on here. And these 2 borders, they are each 6 inches long, and they will butt up perfectly. So if you want to put them on a 12 by 12 page, that's all ready for you. Now let's get into the projects. And one of the things that happens, and we can get in a little bit closer, is how to use vellum. And Teresa has many things for us. In this first card, she has kind of used them sort of like paper. So let me show you. So she started with our 5 by 6.5 inch cards. They come scored, but they come flat. So what Teresa did is she cut 1 inch off of the short edge, and then this gets folded in half, and this is going to become her card front, okay? Now, in this case, that's what it looks like. So she has taken this vellum, and Teresa tells me that because these vellums most of them are so heavily patterned, that there's no problem with hiding glue behind them. So you can do that a couple of different ways. Now, Teresa really likes using the double-sided tape. And let me show that to you. It looks like this. It has paper topping, and you can just place it on your card and then position your vellum, your trimmed out vellum on top. That works. My old favorite, the glue stick, works perfectly also. So those are going to work nicely. We didn't recommend our favorite, that Cosmic Shimmer glue, because even though it dries clear, it did show on the lighter vellum. So we're trying to give you something that is all-purpose answers to the adhesive issue. Now, as always, down below, you're going to see each of the projects that Teresa's done. When you click on them, it will take you to the instructions. You'll be able to see them, and then down below it will list the specific materials that Teresa used. So that's what has been done here. And then this piece comes from the cutout. So let me bring that back just to show it to you. There we go. So there's the cutout. You can kind of see the size of it. And she did that, but then she also took that sheet that has all the words in it, and this is what I love to do. So Get Well Soon is right here. So she simply tore around the edges. Now when you tear vellum, you really do want that wiggly edge. So the recommendation is not to fold it first and then tear it, although you certainly could do that if that's your preference. Teresa just tore it and just let it fit right in that little rectangle, or it could go on outside of the rectangle. Either way would be perfectly fine, but you've got plenty of greetings there. Now, the other thing that Teresa has done is that she has added some dazzles. Now, there are dazzles that coordinate with this, as you know, but she has added others, and this comes from our set, which is the Fancy Border Pearl and Pastel. So just to show you, these are in the set. There's 2 different sheets, and they're all in different finishes. So here it is in the silver and the silver pearl, and there is one. In fact, it's right here. There you go. That's what it is, and she just placed it right along there and cut. She did take this cutout and foam taped it in place, and then you can see the little roses that were just taken from the lovely sheet and placed right there. Okay, let's go back inside our card. And in this case, what Teresa has done is she has used the stripe that's in the vellum set. In fact, she's used several things. So the stripe, and then she took the herringbone, I'm going to turn it over, and tore it. So she just has those meeting right here. So that's fun. Now this with the, is in the more vellum sheet. And so sending thoughts your way, hope you're feeling healthier and happier soon. So both of those were just cut out and matted onto this one. And this is one of the vellums that's in there, as I said. So she used that as a mat, so that's fun. Now also, so lots of vellums are going on here, which is of course what you want if you're going to purchase the set. And then also, so as the fancy borders, you can see this zigzag here, or kind of diamond here, and then the plainer one right here. And then she's gone back to the lovely set and added the butterfly, the 2 butterflies, and then also this one. And Steve, can we get a little bit closer to see that? Because she has matted, or she has backed that little flower. There you go, that little one, and here it is, onto the red vellum. So very pretty. So all you do is place the dazzle on the vellum. You kind of want to do it in a corner so you're not wasting it, and then just trim right next to the dazzle edge. And we recommend that you use the 4.5-inch scissors because they have a shorter blade and it's just so much easier. And the dazzle just really kind of guides your scissors around that image. So that's another little piece. So very fun to have those all overlapping and interacting. Okay, that's our first card. Now let's go to our second. Here it is, and isn't that pretty? Now, Teresa has added some things to this because that's what our Teresa does. And let me show you first. This is our regular 5 by 6.5-inch card, and she has gone to the dotted duos, and you see how well that plays with that red piece. Now you used a little smidgen of it to back that dazzle in the previous card, but you've got a whole sheet of it, so there's certainly more that you can do. And what she has done is to cut a piece of the dotted duo. This is dotted duo number 1 pack, so these are the more bolder colors, and she has glued that to the front of her card. Now, next step is to take the vellum, and she has cut a piece. I've done it out of just paper here, 4 inches by 5.5 inches, and then she put a dot 1 inch from the top corner and 2.5 inches down from the right corner, and then scored a line between the two and folded it. Now, when you fold it, you'll notice it's at an angle, but that's exactly what Teresa wanted. So when you've got vellum, I do want to tell you, kind of have one shot at making those folds and so forth, because vellum will remember the crease and you can't remove it. So just want to give you that little bit of information. Okay, so she has made a pocket out of this, and then she put the tape, that 2-sided tape, just right here and here and here. So leaving the pocket open and leaving the center area open, because that's going to hold something, okay? Now, there are other things that she's done here, and let me show you. So the tags come from that cutout sheet. In fact, let me show you what she did. So here, she's added some dazzles to it, and this comes from the Wear Together More Colors dazzles. Now this has 2 styles of artwork. They are stacked like the Thinking of You, and then they also go in a script form so that they're longer, and so you get both of them. And what she's done is she's taken the silver piece out of it, so Thinking of You just fits nicely on that tag. You can see it uncut right there. And the friend fits nicely on this one, which is right here. And she did take a hole punch and punch them and added some of the pieces from the lovely Dazzles just to coordinate. And those got slipped into the pocket however you want. You can have Thinking of You kind of tucked underneath and poking out. She did use the ribbons from the red ribbon set to thread through those holes just to keep that red going. Now down here, I'm going to bring back the Dazzle, the lovely sheet. She took one of the pieces and let it go across the pocket and then just trimmed it off even with the dotted duos. And then you can see the butterflies are there. And then this piece, she added the white on white vellum. So let me show you this set. There are swirls, there are dots, and there is a sheet of our heart and dots. So you can see all three of them. So you get all three. They're all 8.5 by 11. And Teresa has taken the large, one of the large roses, this one, and she has placed it onto the dotted and simply did the same thing, cut right around the edge. Now she foam taped this in place, and what's really neat is that because those leaves are solid, she just put her foam tape under those and it works perfectly. So that's going to be lifted up very, very nicely. She did something else, is in the center of these butterflies, if you haven't seen this jewels mix, they are really, really neat. So there's a container of each of these colors inside. Let me turn it over so you can see those colors. And she put a dot of glue. Now this is where the specialist glue does come in handy. Placed it and then positioned the little jewels in the center of those butterflies. So that's really pretty. Now for the inside of her card, she is using more of this this vellum sheet, and you can see that she tore it. You can see that white edge that you get when you tear. She also has her dotted duos paper right there. The Missing You comes out of the We're Together. Now look at the little strip there and the strip there, and this is something that we highly recommend. When you get a sheet of Dazzles, don't do what I did. Don't peel off the backing. Why? Because you can use it. You can cut that outside edge and use it the way Teresa's done as just a border. It has adhesive on it, so that's going to just give you more creative opportunities with the same piece. You can do that with the 4x9 sheets as well as the 8x9 sheets. So that's just a little tip. Now, the one flower that she did on the front, and she backed it on the white on white vellum, she also did with the second flowers, the second roses right here. And you can see that they've just been glued straight. There's the other border and more of the butterflies and Missing You. Just a really pretty card with lots of things going on in it, but very easy to reproduce. So that's fun. Okay, now one of the fun things about vellum is that you can see through it. And Teresa takes advantage of it in this card. In fact, in this card and the next card. So let me show you as this opens up. So do you see that? It's lifting up, and there we go onto the inside. So it just pulls toward you. Now this card doesn't really stand, so that's not going to be a feature of it, but it does have that window that's really fun. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, let me show you. You're going to start with a piece of cardstock. Now, in this case, she has used kind of a yellow cream ivory, and this is 5 inches by 12 inches, okay? Then you're going to score it in the middle and fold it in half, and that becomes a 5x6 card. Then we're going to take the fold and put it toward us. So the fold is down here, and take this, just the top, and score it in half and bring it down. And that gives us that pull-out piece, which is what she has used on her card. So here we go. Okay, now what to do with this? Well, what Teresa's going to do is she's going to go back and use some of the pieces of vellum that she used on the very first card. So let me pull them back so you can see, because we certainly want to use them when we use the whole pieces of them. Now you can see on the front she's used the stripe, and she's turned it horizontally, and she has allowed the card base to become a mat around it. So that just makes that really simple. She placed it there, and then she also placed it on the back of it. And she did that because this is going to pull out, and Teresa really likes things to be tidy. That's just one of the things about the woman. So that is what's going on there. Now, let's go at what's happening here. And what we have here are some windows. And let me get this for you. Okay, so she has used our 12 rectangles and scallop cutting dies, and in the directions you will see how she has used them. So she's taken one size and then placed the other size next to it or within it, and then ran it through the die cutting machine. And she did that 2 times. And the reason that she did 2 times is because that's going to make a frame. It's going to make 2 frames. And she wanted to sandwich this vellum in between the 2 pieces. Okay, so again, the back side of this is very tidy. So in this case, you can either use extra sticky tape, which is my favorite, or you can use the glue stick, or you can use the 2-sided tape, any way you want, because all of them will work, because this is 1/4 inch, which is the width of both of those tapes. Okay, so you're going to put the tape on the back side of one, position your vellum behind it, trim it to fit, and then position the other frame on the back side of it. Now, when you glue this down, of course, you're just going to attach it to the bottom area. Okay, so that's going to work nicely. Now, we're going to go into the cutouts. You know, we were going to get them, so we want to use them. And there we are. So you can see that that herringbone one is right here. Thinking of You is one of the pieces in the More Vellum set. In fact, you can see it right there. And that's just been glued straight across that tag. And I love how she's got it kind of at an angle. I think that just plays really nicely with all these very angular pieces. So the ribbon comes from the blue ribbon set. It's actually the teal and aqua set. I stand corrected. And you can see how that just plays beautifully. So teal and aqua, not blue. And she did add some new flowers. This is the Blue Jay from our friends at 49 and Market. And you can see it's got lots of different shades. So even though she's gone with teal to match the herringbone, the lighter blue just works really nicely. And of course there are leaves in there, so that plays nicely too. Speaking of playing nicely, you can see down here, see that flash of color? Well, that comes from our thin line dazzles, and these are the colorful thin line. So there are 31 dazzles on each sheet, and there are 10 sheets, so 310, and you can see one right there. The other teal ribbon is up here. She did staple it. You can do whatever you like with that. On the inside of her card, she has taken more of the herringbone. Again, we used that earlier. And she has covered the inside of her card and then added 2 of these that are in the More Vellum. So wishing you sunshine and smiles to brighten your day. And then she added more of the thin line dazzles at the top, 2 rows, and at the bottom. So when you see this, you have the coordination of the thin line dazzles just giving you a pop. This metallic ribbon does the same thing. But what I really love is how that vellum, you can see through it and you kind of take a look, you can see sunshine, and then when you open it up, wishing you sunshine and smiles. It's a really nice, great way to play with vellum. Okay, I have 2 more cards, and let me show you. Now this next one also plays with the see-through ability of the vellum, and here it is. And this is really quite different. I don't know that I've seen a card like this before. So let me show you. Okay, so this again is playing with that same vellum sheet, and this is going to lift up, and then this opens up. How pretty is that? And I thought it was really telling that Teresa used the Chantilly Lace papers to go with this. So let me just show you that. So Chantilly Lace, you can kind of see all the thumbnails there. It's in dark maroons. It's got some yellows as well as tans. So she's used that in the solid and in the pattern. Okay, so the Chantilly Lace. And when she started this, she has her regular 5 by 6.5 inch card. But what she did is to trim 1/4 of an inch off the opening edge of the card front. So just took 1/4 of an inch off of that. And that's going to give you just this opening that you see right here. So because this has kind of a double opening, it's just a little bit easier to open, okay? So now let's talk about this piece, because that's really different. And it is a bit similar to what we had on the last card, except it has something added. So we're going to take this, and you're going to cut one that is, it ends up measuring 4 inches by 4 3/4, and then the smaller pieces on the inside. This is exactly what we did in the previous card. Now what she did is she took the extra sticky tape, and I'm just going to pull one strip off, and then go ahead and cut your vellum, and then position it on the back of that piece, and there you've got it. Okay, now this is going to go onto another piece that we're going to do something a little different with. So this piece is going to measure 4.5 by 4 3/4. So it's a little bit bigger than our frame. And we need that little extra because this is going to hold that opening piece in place. So 4.5 by 4 3/4, and then score 1/2 inch over here, and this is going to be our flap. Now you're going to do the exact same thing a second time, but this time after you cut it and score it, you're going to do the rectangle in the center to remove that area. So we've got another piece. So what's going to happen, now these two are the same pieces, okay? So this was just the first part of it, and this is the second part of it, okay? Now this is going to get attached here, and you just add more tape. And then you're going to put the extra sticky tape here, and this is going to go inside your card like this. You want to make sure it is centered top and bottom, and you just let that be attached. Now we do it this way so that the paper that we put, or the vellum that we put on the inside, will cover up this piece. Okay, so that's what happens there. Very fun. And then we're going to finish our card. So this is kind of hanging here. It already has the vellum on it. So we're going to go back into the Chantilly Lace, going to cut this piece and attach and glue it in place because it's paper. We're going to take this other piece of paper and mat it on the solid and put it here. Now this is the fancy border dazzles that we used earlier, so that has been placed. This is one of the cutouts, and it has been matted onto our gold cardstock. The gold cardstock is 8.5 by 11, and it is cardstock. You get 3 sheets in each pack. So that's going to be matted there. And that's just going to give us some shine. We get some shine here and shine with the dazzles. Now this is out of the Chantilly Lace die cuts. So that's one of the pieces, and that's going to get foam taped right here. Now for the top of this, we're going to go into our circle dies. These are so useful. 12 circle and scallop dies. You're going to cut a circle, and you're going to glue the Happy Birthday die cut on top, then cut another one that is scalloped out of the gold. And so you see you've got the continuation of that gold in several places, which is exactly what we want. Now the ribbons are a surprise because it comes from the orange and peach set. So emphasis on the peach for this particular card. And you can see the bow tied there. And then Teresa did use, this is the passion pink. Now again, we're kind of peachy here, but because these flowers come in different shades, there's perfect ones that will fit right here. So that's what's been done. Now on the inside, oh, I do need to tell you one other thing. What Teresa does is, and she did in this case, so that die cut, and I think it's just this die cut. She, excuse me, used the blending tools to use Bordeaux on the outside edge of them on this particular one. Then she used the honey pot on the outside edge of this Chantilly lace. So it has kind of a little yellow sheen. That yellow is going to go and play with the golds very nicely. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that you knew that. You may not be able to see it on, I think you can see the Bordeaux here. It's a little bit darker on the edges, but you might have missed the honey pot over on the edge. Now, on the inside of her card, she's done the same thing. You can really see the Bordeaux has been used here on the Chantilly. This is another cutout from the paper pack, matted on the metallic gold, and two more of the fancy border dazzles right there. And that's how the card goes. So really happy birthday. Let's celebrate. Many blessings for you. Really nice. Okay, I've got one more. And as you can tell, Teresa really likes using the products that we've identified, but she also likes adding maybe just a little something extra. And that's what she did on this card. And I absolutely love it. I think it's just a wonderful job. And so let me show you what goes in here. And what Teresa used is this, Garden of Posies. These are foiled die cuts. Now, what you do with these, so they're already die cut, and let me just see, I'm hoping you can see that there are orange circles with numbers on them. And there are green ones with circles, and there are blue ones with circles. And what you do is pop these out. The one that's got a 1 goes down first. The one that has a 2 gets foam taped second on top of the matching art. The one that's 3 right here gets foam taped on the matching art. So you just do that, and the end result is this. And isn't that lovely? Okay, let's back up just a second and let me show you what else she used. So in this particular one, she went to our Ethereal Bouquets. Now this came out last month, I think, or a month before, and it has just beautiful white and cream flowers and these backgrounds. And what Teresa has done is she's used one for to go on this piece of cardstock. Now this piece of cardstock is extra from the card. Let me show you why. I'm going to open up the card. You can see the Celebrate, and this is an easel card. And so when you let it rest on the inside, see it's resting on the second of 3 paper towel designs. How pretty is that? Just gorgeous. But this front piece is a little bit larger. So this is going to measure 7 by 5.5, okay? And what she did is she took the Ethereal Bouquet piece, and this is a kind of a teal color, and she edged it using our blending brushes, which everyone loves and has, and she used the Lagoon ink and just brought that into the edge. So just swirled it from the edge and has that down. So that's paper. Then she went back to the papers, our vellums, and she took this one and cut a piece of it and edged it with silver. Now, because she used the blending brushes, I'm going to just turn this so that you can see. It's not a straight line, it's more of a kind of shadowy look along the edges. So really pretty, and it plays nicely with the foiled paper towel. So that silver is there. And so that's a smaller piece. She did mat the paper onto our silver metallic paper. This is not cardstock, this is the paper. You could use cardstock, but this is the paper that she used. So we get a nice mat on the paper, glued it to our cardstock, and then did our vellum, did our paper towel. Now the ribbons that she used, of course, are the white ones. And she chose the metallic ribbon just to go along here, and then did 2 knots, tied 2 knots, and knotted them in place. She did one more thing that I thought was really clever, actually a couple of things. So let me go in here, and you see how the Garden of Posies, this is what the flowers look like. They're really nice. But she also did something else. She put our teal jewel dazzles in the center. And look how they just add an extra pop. And I think that's just brilliant. And Teresa just does that. Now, for the Celebrate, that comes from our 500 script greetings. So there are 500 dazzles in this package. Celebrate is here. Now, this piece that you've constructed at this point is going to go on a card base. So here is our regular 5 by 6.5 inch card. If you will take this and score it vertically, then this is going to become the base for our card. And you will take this piece that you've just created and glue it to the bottom of just that card front. So let me show you. So there you go. It's just glued to the bottom of it. Then we go inside our card. Now inside, she's used, again, a piece of vellum. So even though there are 8 pieces in there, they're going to go a long way because you use bits and pieces. So she has attached it there. Again, the same thing with vellum is that she placed and glued the very first number 1 piece of the paper towel right here. She glued it down and onto this strip of vellum. Then she put glue behind this and glued it to the inside of her card. You don't have to glue every little piece of vellum. It's going to stay there. It's not going to shift, so guaranteed. Now it's going to be the same thing. You're going to place the number 1 down first, then go 2, 3, and 4. And she did the same thing with them with the teal dazzles. Now, she had Celebrate on the front in silver. On the inside, she's got Happy Birthday in black. Both of those colors and more are here in the 500 script greeting dazzles. So there you go. As I said, there's just so much you can do with vellum. You can play with it by itself. Of course, the cutouts do a nice job of helping that. You can add even more vellum to it. You can add our beautiful, lovely dazzles. And I think it's really fun to go back and play with the paper towel. In fact, you're going to be seeing more of that as we go through 2022. Well, thank you for joining us. I hope you're as excited about the patterned vellum as I am. It gives us something new to play with, and that's always fun. You can see my notes down here. And if you are watching this on YouTube, we'd appreciate it if you would hit a like and if you would subscribe, because that'll bring more people to us. The Money Saver, as always, the Money Saver is on the right side of your screen if you are watching this at paperwishes.com. If you're not watching us there, please come on over and join us. We'd love to have you as part of our Paper Wishes family.